For years, the world looked at Japan and saw football's nicest team. The respectful fans who stayed behind to clean stadiums. The disciplined underdogs who played beautiful football but never truly scared anyone. That image is dead. Today, Japan has become one of the most feared teams on the planet. They've beaten Germany multiple times, defeated Spain at the World Cup, come back from 2 goals down to beat Brazil, and walked into Wembley Stadium to silence England. This isn't luck. This isn't a golden generation. This is the result of a 30-year master plan born from one of the most heartbreaking moments in Japanese sporting history. And it all started with a tragedy. In October 1993, Japan was just 90 seconds away from qualifying for its first ever World Cup. The dream was finally within reach. Then Iraq scored an equalizer in stoppage time. The final whistle blew. The players collapsed onto the pitch in tears. An entire nation watched its dream disappear. The moment became known as the Tragedy of Doha, but one of those devastated players would later change Japanese football forever. His name was Hajime Moriyasu, and today he is the manager leading Japan's rise. After that heartbreak, Japan decided something had to change. Rather than searching for quick fixes, they created a long-term vision. In 2005, the Japan Football Association launched Project 2050. Its goal sounded almost impossible. One day, Japan would win the World Cup. To make that happen, they rebuilt football from the ground up. They expanded professional clubs across the country, invested heavily in youth development, created pathways for young talent, and most importantly, they stopped thinking in 4-year World Cup cycles. They started thinking in generations. But infrastructure alone doesn't create a football culture. For that, Japan found help in an unlikely place: anime. In 1981, Captain Tsubasa exploded across the country. For millions of children, it wasn't just a cartoon. It was an invitation to dream. A generation of future footballers fell in love with the sport because of it. Players who would later represent Japan on the biggest stages grew up watching Captain Tsubasa. Football was no longer just a game. It became part of the national imagination. Yet despite all that progress, Japan still had one major weakness. In 2018, they came painfully close to reaching the World Cup quarterfinals. Leading Belgium 2-0, history seemed within reach. Then everything collapsed. Belgium scored 3 times. The final goal came from a devastating counterattack in the last seconds. Japan was eliminated. The defeat forced them to confront a difficult truth. Their culture of teamwork was producing disciplined players. But football's biggest moments often require ruthless individuals willing to take responsibility. Around the same time, another anime captured the imagination of young players: Blue Lock. Its philosophy was the complete opposite of traditional Japanese thinking. It taught strikers to be selfish, to be fearless, to believe they could decide games on their own. For a nation famous for collective thinking, it introduced a new mindset. The result was a generation of players who combined Japanese discipline with a killer instinct. Meanwhile, Japan solved another problem. For decades, Japanese players struggled to adapt to Europe. Today, that's no longer true. More than 100 Japanese professionals now play across European football. Many of the national team's stars compete every week in the Premier League, Bundesliga, Serie A, and La Liga. They aren't learning from Europe's elite anymore. They are part of Europe's elite. And standing above it all is Hajime Moriyasu, the same man who experienced the tragedy of Doha firsthand, the same man who knows exactly what failure feels like. Under his leadership, Japan has become one of the most adaptable teams in international football. They don't care about possession. They don't care about reputation. They don't care who stands on the other side. Against football giants, they wait patiently, then strike with ruthless speed. It's how they shocked Spain. It's how they beat Germany. And it's why nobody wants to face them in 2026. But despite all their progress, one final obstacle remains: a curse. Japan has reached the round of 16 four different times. Every time the dream ended there. Every time the glass ceiling held. That is the true mission of this team. Not simply qualifying, not just earning respect, breaking through, finally reaching the quarterfinals and proving that Project 2050 was never a fantasy. Because when Japan announced they would win the World Cup by 2050, people laughed. Today, nobody is laughing. The underdog is gone. The nice team is gone. What remains is a football machine built over 3 decades. And in 2026, the world will find out whether Japan's master plan is ready for its biggest test yet.